Hello, and welcome, dear listener. Tonight we'll be traveling back to a world shaped by quiet obedience and rigid tradition. A world of misty fields, wooden sandals, distant lords, and the ever-present weight of duty. This is feudal Japan, not the glittering world of shoguns and sword fights, but the quieter, harsher reality beneath it. The one lived by the many, not the few. We begin in the hush of a peasant village, where the soil is wet, the roofs are thin, and the days are long. We'll walk with those who lived under the eye of the samurai, not as warriors, but as workers, as villagers, as the ones who bowed. And then, slowly, we'll rise. Segment by segment, we'll trace the shape of a world, from the dirt paths of the countryside to the polished floors of the elite. If you'd like to, feel free to share in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. You're part of a long, quiet thread of others drifting off to sleep, just like this. As always, there's no need to stay alert. If your mind wanders, that's all right. If you drift off, even better. Let the past unfold gently. Let your breath slow, and let us begin. The light hasn't quite broken yet. It's that gray-blue hour. The quiet before the sun rises fully, when the world holds its breath between shadow and warmth. The wind, such as it is, moves gently through the leaves of persimmon trees that line the edge of your village. You hear it before you feel it, a dry, papery rustling, like silk against bark. Your eyes open slowly, but you don't rise just yet. The wooden floor beneath your woven sleeping mat creaks with the small shifts of your weight. You lie still for a moment, listening, not just for sound, but for silence. And there it is, a silence so complete it feels almost held, like the whole village is balancing, quietly, on the edge of morning. Eventually, you sit up. The room is small, square, and soft in the dimness. There's only one room, really. The others in your family are still asleep, curled on mats beside you, under blankets that smell faintly of smoke and straw. A low charcoal fire in the hearth has gone cold overnight. The ashes rest in a shallow bowl of packed earth at the center of the floor, ringed with small pots, bundles of herbs, and cooking tools worn smooth with years of use. You stretch, slowly, carefully, and pull on your robe. It's homespun, dyed a soft brown, the fabric thick in some places, thin in others. Its threads were woven by someone you know, perhaps even someone in your own family. There is comfort in that. Your straw sandals wait for you near the door. The door itself is a sliding panel of wooden slats and paper screens, thin, delicate, and imperfect, with one corner always slightly askew. As you slide it open, a breath of air meets you, cool, moist, and fragrant, full of earth and pine and that damp, early scent of growing things. The village is still asleep, but not for long. You step outside and pause. Before you, the narrow dirt path of the village bends gently downhill, bordered on both sides by small, low houses, each with its own little garden patch, each with a smoke-stained roof of thatch or tile. Some have gourds drying on their eaves. Others have baskets, half woven, leaning against their walls. The road itself is uneven, rutted from rain and cartwheels, hardened by years of feet. And in the shallow ditches on either side, frogs have gathered. Their calls are slow, rhythmic, and low. Further in the distance, beyond the houses and trees, are the rice fields, still mostly hidden in the morning haze. They shimmer faintly, silver with dew, quiet and waiting. Somewhere behind you, a wooden bell rings. Once, then twice. Its tone is soft, not demanding, but familiar. A reminder that the day, like always, has begun. Others begin to stir. You hear the slide of another door opening, water being poured, the faint clatter of a pot being set over a flame. The village begins to hum with low, slow motion. Not hurried, never hurried, just necessary. The first thing to do, before anything else, is to visit the field. You walk slowly, your sandals making soft shuffling sounds over the packed earth. You pass neighbors. Some nod. Others simply glance, already lost in thought. There are no formal greetings this early. Words can wait. The rice fields are just beyond the edge of the village, where the land slopes gently, and the irrigation channels begin to snake through the soil like veins. The water in them is clear, cold, and moving steadily, fed by streams further up the hills. You pause at the edge of your plot. It's not large, but it is yours, in a manner of speaking. The plants are young still. Green shoots stretch from the shallow, mirror-like water, spaced carefully, their leaves swaying slightly as the wind brushes across them. You crouch slowly and dip your hand into the water. It's chilly, even through calloused fingers. A dragonfly flickers past, then settles. Somewhere to your left, a heron lands, its wings wide, its steps slow and deliberate. You inspect the base of the stalks. Look for signs of rot, of blight, of anything that might threaten the harvest. It's too early to tell much. But you do this every morning, not because you expect anything to change, but because it's the rhythm. Work, watch, wait. You stay there for a while, just watching the field, listening. The frogs are still calling, now joined by the creak of wooden water wheels further down the channel. Someone begins to chant softly, a prayer or a song, you're not sure. The rhythm matches the movement of their hands as they prepare tools nearby. Eventually, you rise, slowly. The stiffness in your knees reminds you that it's still early in the season, and your body has not yet reacclimated to bending and standing for hours. As you walk back toward your home, the smells begin to shift. You pass the house of the village elder, always up before anyone else, and catch the scent of millet cooking over a low fire. A sweet, toasted aroma. Somewhere else, miso broth simmers gently. Breakfast will be small, but warm, and for now, that is enough. You slide the door closed behind you, stepping once again onto the wood slat floor. The others are awake now, speaking softly, tying their sashes. The room is brighter, still dim, but no longer gray. You sit on your mat, take the bowl offered to you, and begin to eat, slowly, quietly. The steam from the grain curls upward into the air, dancing for a moment before fading. Outside, the mist continues to lift. The light grows stronger, and the village, fully awake now, begins to move. The morning meal is finished, but its warmth lingers. You set your empty bowl aside. Earthen, hand-formed, the rim uneven from long use, and wipe your fingers on a folded cloth that's been patched more than once. There is no waste. Nothing is discarded lightly. Every grain that falls is noticed and often retrieved. Food is not abundance here. It is calculation, season, necessity. Most days, you eat what the field provides, and rarely more. Even in good years, you stretch each harvest to its thinnest edge. In lean years, you stretch beyond what's reasonable. But hunger, you've learned, can be quiet if you let it. The core of your diet, and nearly everyone's in the village, is rice. Or, more often, not quite rice. In truth, the white rice you imagine, soft, fragrant, polished to gleaming, is a luxury. It exists, yes, but not always for you. In many households, especially yours, it is blended. Barley is mixed in to stretch the bowl further. Millet, hard and coarse, makes up the bulk of many meals. Occasionally, buckwheat or sorghum is added, their tastes heavier and earthier. Polished white rice, when it does appear in your bowl, is a celebration. It sticks together lightly. It smells of something faintly floral. But most days, you eat grains that are tougher, darker, and far more filling than flavorful. You chew slowly. There is little salt, only what has been preserved, and that's never much. Pickled vegetables provide variety, though variety is a generous word. Rounds of daikon, the long white radish, fermented in rice bran, slices of burdock root, steeped in vinegar, cucumbers from last summer, puckered and sour. These sit in small dishes, side by side, arranged without ceremony. A little bit of color, a little bit of crunch, a little bit of preservation. The pickles are sharp, sometimes almost bitter, but they wake the tongue, briefly. You may also have miso, not every day, but often enough to expect it. A broth, thin but nourishing, made from fermented soybeans. Its scent is earthy, fermented, and comforting. Sometimes it's clear, with floating bits of seaweed. Other times it's cloudy, with shaved scallion, or cubes of soft tofu, if the soy harvest was generous. Occasionally, dried fish is added, just a sliver. Not fresh fish, not unless you live by the coast, but dried, perhaps sardine or anchovy, rehydrated and softened, giving the broth a saltier, deeper body. But even this is saved for special days. Protein is rare. Meat is rarer still. You don't slaughter animals casually. Buddhist customs frown upon it, and there's little pasture land for livestock. Chickens may provide eggs when they're not brooding. Occasionally, someone traps a rabbit or a bird. But more often, you rely on soy, or roots, or whatever survives through pickling, drying, or patience. What's eaten changes with the season, of course. In spring, wild greens, bitter and vibrant, are gathered from the hills. In summer, cucumbers and squash appear. In autumn, sweet potatoes and chestnuts are favored. And in winter, the meals shrink, become quieter, root heavy. Stored rice, boiled turnips, preserved things that no longer quite taste like themselves. Still, there is comfort in the rhythm. Even repetition has its place. Lunch, when it comes, is often carried to the field. You wrap it in cloth, a small box, or a bundle, and eat beneath the shade of a tree if the sun is high. It may be leftover rice, shaped into balls and wrapped in a pickled leaf, cold broth, a few dried plums. There are no forks, no knives, only chopsticks, smooth from use and carved from simple wood. You sit with others. You eat quietly. You share, sometimes, especially if one household has been luckier than another. No one says much. The sound of chewing blends with the rustling of leaves, the buzz of insects, the steady creak of wooden carts passing along the far road. At dinner, the pattern repeats. Maybe there's a second bowl of miso. Maybe an old onion, boiled until sweet. Maybe, if someone in the village traveled to the nearby market town, there's tofu. Soft, pale, faintly sour. The children whisper about it as if it were a treasure. And after dinner, there's tea. Not the rich kind, powdered and whisked, like those used in temples or samurai homes. Yours is roasted barley or twig tea, brown, mild, with a smell like dry leaves and ash. It's poured into small cups, held with both hands, sipped slowly. There is no dessert, not as such. Sometimes a roasted chestnut, or a persimmon dried on a string and softened over weeks. These are treats, not habits. You finish your tea. You wash your bowl. You dry it with a cloth. worn to a threadbare softness that feels more like memory than fabric. And then, as the sky dims once again, you place everything carefully in its place, lined up in the wooden cabinet, in the exact order you've always known. Food is not excitement here. It is sustenance, ritual, care. It is the daily act of quiet survival. The rice is growing well this year. Each day, you check the water levels, inspect the seedlings, and brush away the small weeds that threaten the crop. The stalks are a rich green now, straight and orderly, lined like brush strokes across the flooded paddy. From a distance, it almost looks peaceful. But in your mind, there's always the same quiet calculation. How much of this will we actually keep? Because no matter how much you grow, a portion, a large portion, will be taken. And that knowledge, like the heat of the sun or the murmur of the wind, is always with you. It is called the nengu, the annual land tax, paid not in coin, but in koku, a unit based on rice. One koku is said to be enough rice to feed a man for a year. But for you, it measures something else. Obligation, burden, a yield that is already promised before the harvest even begins. The tax is not optional. It is not negotiated. And it does not care about the weather. If the rains came late, if the insects were too many, if the storms flattened the fields, it does not matter. The tax arrives all the same. Each autumn, when the rice has been harvested, you bundle the stalks with careful hands. You dry them, thresh them, store them, and then a portion is taken, counted, measured, recorded. The taxman does not smile. He does not need to. He is often a samurai, though not always the sort you imagine. He may not wear ornate armor or carry a fine blade, but his presence is unmistakable. Clean robes, stiff posture, and the weight of power in his silence. Sometimes he arrives alone, with a single assistant who carries ledgers and brushes. Other times, he arrives with guards, just in case. Not because he expects resistance is rare, but because it reminds everyone that the power of the domain lives in more than just paper and ink. The villagers gather, bow, wait. You bring forward what is owed, stacked in clean woven sacks, labeled with your household's name, tied with care. The tax official observes as the rice is weighed. Not all the rice is polished. Often it is brown, unhulled, but it is heavy. It smells faintly of straw and moisture. It represents months of labor, given away in a few short moments. You do not argue, even if the harvest was poor, even if your children are thin, even if the granary looks more like a memory than a reality. To resist is not only illegal, it is unthinkable. You know of villages that tried to resist. Rumors, mostly, of remote mountain settlements that refused to pay. They were dealt with quietly, efficiently. Even so, the system is not random. The local officials, the Nanushi, village headmen, sometimes mediate. They may plead for a slightly reduced amount if a bad storm came through, or if disease swept the crops. And sometimes, just sometimes, the tax is lowered. But that mercy is rare, and it always comes with a price. The collected rice is taken away, packed onto carts or boats, depending on the region, and sent to the domain's central storehouses. From there, it may be used to pay warriors, fund temples, or feed the retainers of the daimyo, the lord of your land. You do not see where it goes, but you know what it leaves behind. Sometimes, your family goes without second bowls for weeks. Meals are stretched thin. Dried greens are boiled again and again to create broth. You learn to chew slowly, to sleep with less, and yet the system continues. It is old. It is well organized. And in its way, it is fair, at least by the standards of the time. Every household is measured by its land, its productivity, its obligations. Everyone knows what is expected. Everyone knows the rules. But knowing the rules does not make them lighter. There are years when your field gives generously, when the sun and rain arrive in perfect rhythm, when the insects are few, when the plants grow tall and fat. In those years, there's enough for everyone. Even then, the first thought, always, is, will it be enough for the tax? Because no matter how good the harvest, the tax comes first. It is the invisible hand that shapes your choices, your meals, your future. It hovers over the village, not like a shadow, but like the air, always present, always assumed. And when the collectors are gone, when the carts have creaked down the road and the silence has returned, you begin again. You store what remains. You pray it will be enough to last the winter. You repair your tools. You patch your roof. You begin planning next year's planting, even as this year's crop has barely left your hands, because the field does not wait, and neither does the tax. Before the first stroke of the hoe, before a single grain of rice is sown, you must clothe yourself, not for appearance, not for vanity, but for necessity, for the wind, for the mud, for the sun that cracks your skin if you let it. The clothing of a peasant in feudal Japan is not elaborate. It is not decorative. It is not new. It is functional, familiar, and deeply personal, made with the hands of someone you know. Perhaps your mother, perhaps your wife, perhaps yourself. You begin with a robe, a simple, straight-cut garment known as a kasode, which means small sleeves. It is the ancestor of the kimono, but far humbler. Its fabric is often coarse, hemp if you are lucky, ramie sometimes, cotton if the region allows and the taxes leave enough behind. The robe wraps left over right, always left over right. Right over left is reserved for the dead. A thin cord, or obi, ties it at the waist. Nothing ornate, just a strip of cloth, knotted tight enough to stay secure through a day of bending, lifting, walking. In the summer, you wear one layer. The fabric is loose, breathable. It hangs away from your skin, allowing the air to move through. It smells of smoke from the hearth and soap made from ash. In the winter, you add layers, padded vests, perhaps stuffed with scrap fabric or even straw. But warmth is relative. You are always a little cold. Your sleeves are tied back when you work. Your legs are wrapped in strips of cloth, twisted and knotted to keep insects and mud from clinging too closely. And on your feet, always, waragi, sandals made of woven straw, tied with rope up the calf. They wear through quickly. You are always making more. Some days, if it rains, you wear a mino, a straw raincoat woven from rice stalks or miscanthus reeds. It hangs down like a cape, heavy when wet, rustling as you walk. With a wide straw hat, your outline becomes something closer to the shape of the land itself. All downward angles, all burden and shelter. There are no closets in your home, no wardrobes, just folded stacks and wooden boxes, arranged by season, by function. Festival clothes are stored separately, if you even have them. Bright colors are rare, reserved for celebration, for temple days, for funerals, for marriage. Dyes are made from what you can gather. Indigo from fermented leaves, yielding deep blues and muted grays. Chestnut shells for soft browns. Soot, sometimes, for black. But more often, the color of your robe is the color of the plant it was made from. Earth-toned, software faded, like the fields. Repairs are constant, seams split with wear. Patches are sewn over knees, over elbows, over places where the cloth has thinned. Your garments tell the story of your labor, not in what they are, but in what they've endured. Women, often, are the weavers. In the colder months, when the fields rest, they sit near the hearth and feed thread into looms. The rhythm of the shuttle is gentle, repetitive, like a lullaby. Clack, clack, clack. The fibers, spun by hand, come from plants grown alongside the food crops. Every part of the process is communal, intentional. Children learn early how to spin, how to knot, how to sew a straight line. There is pride in a well-made sleeve, a patch that holds, a hem that doesn't fray. Even the smallest scraps are saved. Fragments of old robes are turned into pouches, into cloths, into padding for sandals. Nothing is wasted. Everything is used. There is a word, borrow. It means tattered. But more than that, it means a fabric that has been mended again and again. A living thing, almost. Some families pass down borrow garments across generations, each layer stitched with quiet care, each patch a memory of hands long gone. You wear such a piece today. The pattern is irregular. The blue of the indigo has faded to almost gray, but it fits, it holds, and it reminds you, even as you walk to the field, as you step through mud and fog and wind, that someone made this for you. Someone sat with thread and needle, thinking of your shoulders, your shape, your steps. And for now, that is enough. Your robe moves with you. It breathes with you. It shields you from the world, just enough. You tie the cord tighter and begin your day. In the quiet moments between work, your thoughts drift, not toward the fields or the taxes or the clothes you wear, but somewhere farther, somewhere almost impossible. You dream, but not the kind of dreams that bring you comfort. These are dreams you dare not speak aloud. Dreams of freedom, of a life not ruled by the samurai's blade or the Lord's command, of a home that isn't small or drafty, of food that isn't always sparse, of a future shaped by your own hands, rather than by the inherited place you were born into. Such thoughts are forbidden, not by law exactly, but by tradition, by fear, by the quiet weight of a world built on order and obedience. Peasants are expected to accept their place, to work, to bear their burdens silently, to obey the cycles of planting and harvest, to bow their heads. The samurai watch, the village elders watch, even your neighbors watch. And so, the dreams stay locked in your mind. They float behind your eyelids as you bend over your work in the fields, as you mend your clothes by firelight, as you gather water from the stream. But they cannot be spoken. To speak of rebellion is to invite danger. To voice dissatisfaction is to risk punishment. And punishment in feudal Japan is often swift and unforgiving. You have heard stories of men and women who whispered too loudly, who dared to hide food from the tax collectors, who refused to bow to passing warriors. Their names are seldom remembered, but their fates are not. Whispers tell of exile to distant mountains where survival is uncertain, of fines that leave families hungry, of beatings meted out by samurai retainers who carry out the Lord's will without hesitation. Sometimes the fear is enough to keep the village in line, but sometimes even the strongest chains can't hold the human spirit. So beneath the surface of everyday life, beneath the rice fields and the carefully woven robes, the forbidden dreams persist. Dreams of escape, dreams of change, dreams that fill the quiet spaces between the morning bell and the evening meal. You imagine what it would be like to leave, to walk beyond the mountains, past the river's bend, to find a village that is not ruled by a lord, to build something new with your own hands. But even in these private thoughts, the rhythm of your world pulls you back. The fields must be tended. The taxes must be paid. The clothes must be mended. And the day moves forward as it always does. So, you breathe in the cool air, steady your shoulders, and begin again. Because some dreams are meant to be held quietly, like the soft flutter of a leaf in the wind, present, but just out of reach. In the soft light of early morning, while the men prepare for the fields, women of the village are already awake. Their day begins not with rest, but with careful, constant motion, an endless weaving of duties and care. Imagine yourself watching them from a quiet corner, a gentle observer. See their hands, weathered but sure, moving rhythmically as they carry out tasks that shape the very life of the village. The first task is water. Women walk the narrow dirt paths toward the communal well, their wooden buckets balanced expertly on poles across their shoulders or carried by hand. The buckets are heavy with cold water, pulled slowly up from the depths. The air here is cooler, thick with the scent of damp earth and fresh leaves. Water drawn is not only for drinking, but for cooking, washing clothes, and tending the small garden patches near their homes. Every drop is precious, carried carefully and conserved. Back at the house, women prepare the hearth. They build fires from carefully gathered twigs and dried leaves, coaxing the flame to life. The soft crackle and gentle glow of the hearth are the heart of the home. Around it, meals are cooked, fabrics dried, and stories shared when evening falls. Women grind rice into flour, using heavy stone mortars and pestles, the steady pounding a familiar sound, slow and methodical. They soak beans, scrape bamboo shoots, and prepare vegetables, all with practiced hands, moving seamlessly through a silent choreography of sustenance. But their work extends beyond the physical. Women care for children, teaching them the ways of the village, the songs, the prayers, the rituals that tie each family to the seasons and the spirits of the land. Their voices, soft and steady, carry the rhythms of old tales and lessons meant to last lifetimes. They also weave cloth and mend garments. Near the hearth, a woman's fingers move deftly over a needle and thread, patching the worn sleeve of a robe. The fabric is frayed, but her stitches are strong. Each repair is an act of preservation, a quiet rebellion against time's slow erosion. In quieter moments, women tend small gardens, planting herbs for medicine and seasoning. They gather wild greens from the forest's edge, bittersweet leaves that will supplement the simple meals of the household. There is no leisure here. There is only duty carried out with an unspoken grace. Yet, within this rhythm, there is also a kind of strength, a resilience born of necessity. Women keep the village alive. They organize communal workdays, share knowledge of healing plants, and provide comfort during times of illness or hardship. Their role is both visible and invisible. Sometimes, a woman might quietly influence village decisions through the elder council or the networks of family alliances. Other times, her power lies in the daily acts that sustain life, preparing a meal, calming a child, or spinning thread that will become a garment. Their labor is steady, unending, and essential. And though their stories are often silent in the grand histories told by samurai or lords, in the village, they are the heartbeat, So, as the sun climbs higher and the fields hum with the sound of work, the women continue. Water carried, fires tended, children watched, each step a thread in the fabric of the village. And you, watching quietly, are part of this moment. As the day flows onward, you find yourself drawn toward the heart of the village. Not the homes, not the fields, but the small, humble shrine nestled beneath a grove of ancient trees. This is the spiritual center of your world, quiet and unassuming, yet filled with unseen presence. The shrine's wooden frame is simple, aged by years of rain and sun, its beams worn smooth and darkened by time. The roof, curved gently upward at the eaves, is covered with cedar shingles, some moss-covered, soft to the touch like a green velvet blanket. Imagine stepping through the wooden torii gate, painted a fading vermilion, into a space that feels separate from the rush of daily toil. Here, the air shifts, it cools, it hums softly with the weight of unseen spirits and whispered prayers. You hear the gentle rustling of leaves, a soft breeze weaving through the branches above, carrying the faint scent of incense, sweet, earthy, a fragrance that lingers long after the offering is burned. Villagers come here often, though not in large groups. A few at a time, they kneel on smooth stone steps, bowing their heads with quiet reverence. They offer simple gifts, a few grains of rice, a freshly picked flower, or a hand-carved wooden talisman. The priests, or kanushi, move slowly through their duties, tending the shrine with deliberate care. Their robes, white and flowing, brush softly against the wooden floor. Their chants are low, measured, more felt than heard, echoing gently through the stillness. The shrine holds many purposes. It is a place of thanks, thanking the kami, the spirits of the land, for a bountiful harvest, for health, for protection. It is also a place of petition, asking for rain in dry seasons, for healing during illness, for safety during travel. Festivals, when they come, are quiet affairs here, not grand ceremonies with loud drums or flashing lights, but rather gentle gatherings marked by shared meals, soft music, and the slow dance of paper lanterns as dusk falls. These festivals follow the rhythm of the seasons. In spring, you might witness the gentle planting prayers, where seeds are offered to the earth, asking for growth. In autumn, harvest festivals give thanks with offerings of freshly gathered rice and vegetables, accompanied by songs that tell of the land's generosity and the human toil that brings it forth. In winter, the shrine feels colder. The trees stand bare, their branches like delicate bones against the gray sky. Fewer come to pray, but the sense of waiting is strong. The hope that the earth beneath the frost will stir again in spring. The spiritual life of the village is deeply intertwined with daily existence. Before a journey, travelers pause at the shrine to seek protection. Before a difficult task, prayers are offered for strength and endurance. When a child is born, a blessing is sought for health and long life. This connection to the unseen shapes how you move through the world. It is a quiet comfort, a steady thread, weaving through the uncertainty of daily struggles. Even on the hardest days, when the tax is high, the harvest poor, and the body weary, the shrine reminds you that you are part of something larger, a cycle that has turned for generations, a world where the earth, the spirits, and the people are bound together in a fragile balance. As you leave the shrine, stepping back through the torii gate, the village greets you once again. The fields sway gently in the breeze. Children's laughter drifts on the air. The sun continues its slow descent toward evening. and you carry with you the quiet peace of this sacred place, tucked softly within the rhythms of your life. As the sun climbs higher, the village stirs with a different kind of movement, one that carries the faint hum of voices, the soft clatter of wooden wheels, and the gentle bustle of exchange. The market day is a special rhythm, a pause in the steady cadence of planting and harvesting. Imagine yourself walking slowly down the dirt road toward the market square, where villagers from near and far gather beneath simple awnings woven from straw and cloth. The air here is thick with the mingling scents of fresh earth, dried herbs, smoked fish, and the faint sweetness of dried persimmons hanging in little bunches. Small stalls are arranged in neat rows, each one modest, offering wares not flashy or abundant, but essential. You see baskets brimming with vegetables freshly pulled from the soil, radishes with dust still clinging to their roots, dark leafy greens that shimmer with dew, small bundles of scallions tied tightly with straw. Nearby, a potter displays bowls and cups, their surfaces smooth and glazed in muted earth tones. The shapes are simple but elegant, designed more for use than display. The weaver's stall shows lengths of cloth, rough to the touch, dyed in soft indigos and browns. The fabric moves gently in the breeze, telling stories of the fibers and hands that created it. You overhear quiet bartering, exchange of rice for cloth, dried fish for tools, woven baskets for soap made from ashes and oils. Coins are scarce here. Instead, trust and reputation hold value. A nod from a neighbor can speak louder than any currency. Occasionally, a traveling merchant arrives with goods from distant towns. Spices, rare teas, small trinkets made of metal or carved wood. Their presence is a subtle reminder that your village exists not in isolation, but as a thread woven into a larger tapestry. You watch a woman carefully select a length of cloth, feeling its weight and texture before nodding in satisfaction. Across the way, a farmer examines a new sickle, its blade shining faintly in the sunlight. The market is not loud or crowded. It moves with a gentle rhythm. Conversations low, movement slow, transactions deliberate. Children dart between stalls, curious and eager, their laughter soft and fleeting. Old men sit on wooden benches nearby, speaking quietly about the seasons, the rains, the stories of years past. For many villagers, market day is more than commerce. It is connection, a chance to meet friends from other hamlets, to hear news carried on the wind, to share a moment beyond the fields and hearth. But the market also reflects the limits of life here. Goods are simple, scarce, carefully conserved. There are no luxuries, no flashy silks or golden trinkets, no lavish feasts. Instead, the market reminds you of the balance you live within, the constant negotiation between survival and desire, between tradition and change. As the sun begins to dip, the stalls slowly close. Merchants pack their goods with care, preparing for the long journey home. The villagers gather their purchases, their hands full, but hearts quietly content. You take one last look at the market square, empty now, but still humming softly with a memory of voices and movement, and you walk back toward your home, the soft earth muffling your steps. The day fades gently into evening, and the village settles once more into its peaceful rhythm. In the cool morning light, the village is alive with small footsteps and soft laughter. The children, moving quietly through their days, learning the rhythm of life from the moment they can walk. Imagine yourself sitting by the edge of the village, watching as children begin their day, not with play alone, but with duties and lessons woven into their every moment. From a very young age, children are part of the village's fabric. They rise early, often before the sun fully touches the fields. Their small hands help carry water from the stream, balance bundles of firewood, or gather kindling for the hearth. They watch their parents closely, learning to mimic the motions of planting, harvesting, weaving, and cooking. Weaving and cooking. Lessons are rarely formal. They come through observation, repetition, and gentle correction. A child follows their mother as she threads a loom, their fingers fumbling with the coarse threads, but growing steadier with each attempt. Another child shadows their father to the field's edge, learning the names of the plants, the feel of the soil, the subtle signs that the weather might be changing. Games do exist, but they are simple and intertwined with learning. Children race along the paths, but they also practice balancing on logs or weaving baskets, skills they will need soon. Storytelling is an essential part of their upbringing. As twilight falls, the village elders gather the children near the hearth or beneath the open sky. Their voices soft and steady, they share tales of the ancestors, of spirits in the forest, of heroes and legends, not to thrill or excite, but to teach. The stories are reminders of courage, of respect, of the delicate balance between humans and the land. Sometimes, the children are called to help with rituals, offering a small prayer at the shrine, carrying a bundle of incense, or lighting a candle during a festival. These moments connect them to the spiritual life of the village, grounding them in tradition. Yet childhood here is not without hardship. Illness can come swiftly. A fever, a cough, or a fall from a tree can mean days or weeks confined to a small, quiet home, tended by worried hands. Many children do not live to adulthood. This truth is spoken of quietly, but it is known deeply. Still, for those who grow, life is a series of small victories. Learning to walk with steady feet in the muddy fields. Learning to carry a basket without spilling. Learning to sew a seam that will hold. Learning to listen to the rhythms of the village, the shifting seasons, the call of the birds, the soft murmur of the river. The children of the village carry the future in their hands, even if that future is shaped by the constraints and challenges they inherit. And as you watch, the sun climbs higher. The village hums softly with life, and the children move steadily forward toward the days that will soon demand more of them. As the seasons turn, the village breathes with the rhythm of its festivals and communal moments, quiet occasions that bring respite from toil and a gentle sense of belonging. Imagine the subtle change in the air as the harvest approaches, a shift not only in temperature but in spirit. The villagers prepare for the autumn harvest festival, known as Niname Sai, a time of giving thanks for the bounty of the earth. Small bundles of freshly harvested rice are offered at the village shrine, the stalks tied neatly with straw, their golden heads heavy with grain. Families gather with simple foods laid upon low tables, rice cakes, steamed vegetables, and sweet chestnuts roasted slowly over embers. The air is thick with the scent of smoke, earth, and gratitude. Children, dressed in their best robes, often patched and faded but cared for tenderly, move shyly among the adults, holding small lanterns or helping to set the offerings. Elders lead soft chants, their voices weaving through the crisp evening air, calling upon the spirits to continue their favor in the coming year. The festival is not marked by loud celebration, but by quiet reflection and gentle joy. A communal pause to honor the cycles that sustain life. In spring, the village awakens anew. The festival of planting, Taue Matsuri, arrives with blossoms and the faint hope of growth. Villagers gather at the shrine to bless the fields. Ceremonies are simple but meaningful. Rice seedlings are carried in baskets woven from reeds. Prayers are murmured, and sake is shared in small cups to seal the blessings. Children scatter flower petals, their laughter soft and fleeting among the adults' whispered wishes. The mood is hopeful but humble, grounded in the knowledge that the earth's generosity is never guaranteed. Throughout the year, smaller gatherings mark moments of transition. A moon viewing festival in late summer invites villagers to sit together beneath the silver light, sipping warm tea and sharing poems and quiet conversation. Winter brings the New Year celebrations, where the village comes together to sweep homes clean, decorate shrines with pine and bamboo, and offer wishes for health and prosperity. Though modest, these gatherings bind the community together. They create spaces where burdens are shared, stories are told, and traditions are passed down. They remind everyone, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, that even in hardship, there is connection, that the village is more than the sum of its work. And as night falls after each festival, the glow of lanterns softens the darkness, and the quiet hum of voices fades into the gentle embrace of sleep. Imagine yourself stepping into a quiet morning in the village, the earth still cool beneath your feet, the air thick with the scent of damp soil and freshly turned earth. Before you stretches the field where you will work today, a patchwork of flooded rice paddies, soft mud squishing underfoot. Your tools lie nearby, simple, worn, but essential. The first is the kama, a sickle with a gently curved blade, its edge worn smooth but still sharp enough to cut through thick stalks of rice. You pick it up and feel the weight in your hand, the rough wooden handle familiar against your palm. The rhythm of the sickle is steady. Swing, slice, pull. Each cut releases a faint, sweet scent of the ripened grain, and the soft crackle of dry stalks breaks the quiet. You pause to wipe sweat from your brow, feeling the warmth of the morning sun on your skin, the slight chill still lingering in the breeze. Nearby, the kuwa, a broad-bladed hoe, rests against a wooden fence. This tool is heavier, designed for breaking up the soil and pulling stubborn weeds from the muddy ground. The blade gleams faintly with iron, scarred by years of use. With practiced movements, you grip the handle and press the blade into the earth. The mud gives way with a wet squelch, the coolness rising to meet your hands as you turn the soil. The smell is rich, earthy, and alive. The careful preparation of the land is a slow, meditative process. You feel the texture of the soil, soft in some places, thick and heavy in others, and listen to the subtle sounds around you. Water trickling between paddies, birds calling in the distance, the faint rustle of bamboo leaves. The planting of rice seedlings is an especially delicate task. You kneel at the water's edge, fingers submerged in the cool liquid mud, gently grasping the tender green shoots. Each seedling is carefully spaced to give it room to grow. Each movement repeated again and again until the entire paddy is filled. It is quiet work, filled with the gentle splash of water and the murmur of nature. The tools themselves reflect the connection between the people and the land. Crafted from local wood and iron, they are repaired often, sharpened, and cleaned with care. The making and mending of tools is part of village life, a skill passed down through generations. Carrying poles, long wooden beams balanced across shoulders, allow heavy loads of harvested rice or firewood to be transported with more ease, though the weight presses down steadily. In the quiet moments between work, you watch the patterns of the sun and clouds, learning when a storm might come, or when the soil will dry just enough for the next task. Every tool, every technique is a conversation with the earth, a slow, patient dance where the land always leads. And through this work, you feel a deep connection to the rhythms of life here, the passing seasons, the growth of crops, the careful balance that sustains the village. As the day wanes and the soft glow of late afternoon filters through the trees, you find yourself walking slowly toward a small, weathered home at the edge of the village. This is the dwelling of the village elder, a figure who embodies the steady heart of your community. The elder's presence is quiet but profound, their movements deliberate, their voice calm and measured, like the gentle flow of a slow-moving river. Imagine sitting beside them on a simple wooden bench, the warm earth beneath your feet, and the faint scent of burning wood from the nearby hearth drifting in the air. The elder's eyes hold the depth of many seasons, reflecting a life shaped by hardship, observation, and quiet resilience. They begin to speak, not with urgency or excitement, but with the patient cadence of someone who has watched the village through cycles of plenty and hardship. They tell you about the changing seasons, how each brings its own challenges and gifts, how the spring rains must be welcomed with hope, yet careful watchfulness, how the summer sun nurtures the crops, but also demands endurance, how the autumn harvest is a moment of gratitude tinged with anxiety, and how the winter cold invites rest and reflection. Their stories are woven with lessons, soft reminders that life is a balance between acceptance and effort, between waiting and acting. They speak of patience, not as resignation, but as a quiet strength. The strength to endure long days in the fields, to mend what is broken, to support neighbors in times of need. The elders' wisdom includes guidance on kindness. They explain how simple acts, sharing a meal, listening attentively, helping with a heavy load, are the threads that hold the village together. You hear stories of those who came before, ancestors who lived and died with dignity, whose lives were intertwined with the land and each other. Their words carry a gentle reminder. Though life is often hard, it is also filled with moments of grace. You notice how the elder's voice rises and falls, steady and soothing, inviting you to relax into their stories. They speak of the unseen forces believed to watch over the village, the spirits of the land and ancestors, whose presence is felt in the rustling leaves, the shifting clouds, and the quiet moments of dawn. Listening to the elder, you sense a connection not just to the village, but to something larger and enduring. Their wisdom is not about grand deeds or loud triumphs, but about the slow, steady work of living with humility and respect. As the sun dips low, casting long shadows, the elder's voice softens and a calm settles around you. You feel a quiet peace, a gentle easing of the mind and body. The village, with all its struggles and small joys, feels like home. And as evening approaches, the elder's words linger softly, a comforting lullaby that gently carries you toward rest. As the night settles gently over the village, imagine yourself stepping briefly into the world of the samurai, the warrior class whose presence looms quietly but firmly over your daily life. The samurai live in distant castles or fortified homes, their lives governed by strict codes of honor, discipline, and martial skill. Their world is ordered and hierarchical, and the peasants, though essential, are often seen through a lens shaped by social distance and duty. Picture the samurai observing the fields from afar, their gaze steady but detached, measuring the harvest, the taxes owed, the strength of the village. To them, peasants are both the foundation of their power and subjects to be controlled. They value the hard work and loyalty of the peasant class, but also view their lives as lesser, bound by duty and obligation. The samurai's perspective is shaped by the need to maintain order and authority. They expect obedience and tribute, and in return, they provide protection, though often distant and conditional. Stories told within samurai circles describe peasants as stubborn or simple, yet also resilient and enduring. This complex view influences policies and daily interactions, reinforcing social boundaries that seem unbreakable. Yet, beneath this distance, there is recognition of the peasant's essential role. Without their labor, the rice would not grow, the village would not thrive, and the samurai's own power would wither. In some rare moments, samurai might walk among the villagers, observing the toil firsthand, acknowledging the rhythm and hardship of their days. They might offer guidance or request assistance, but always with a quiet reminder of their rank. The samurai's code, Bushido, emphasizes honor and duty, values that shape their interactions and expectations. This code can be strict and unforgiving, yet it also demands responsibility and care for those under their protection. Understanding this complex relationship reveals the delicate balance that sustained feudal society, a balance between power and dependence, respect and control. As you reflect on this, the quiet hum of the village night returns. The fields lie still beneath the moonlight, and the cycle of life continues, shaped by many hands, seen through many eyes. As the cycle of seasons continues, the village breathes in moments of quiet celebration, festivals and rituals that offer both respite and connection. Imagine the soft glow of lanterns flickering through the evening mist, the gentle murmur of voices sharing stories and prayers beneath the open sky. Peasant festivals are not grand or lavish affairs, but rather humble gatherings imbued with deep meaning and gentle joy. They mark the passing of time, the blessings of the earth, and the bonds that hold the community together. In early spring, before the fields are planted, villagers gather to perform the Taue Matsuri, or rice planting festival. The air is cool, fragrant with the scent of fresh earth and blossoming plum trees. Villagers bring young rice seedlings carefully bundled in straw baskets. The ceremony begins with quiet prayers and offerings at the village shrine. Soft incense smoke curling upward, weaving through the bare branches above. Children scatter flower petals along the path, their laughter light and fleeting. The planting itself is a communal act, everyone working side by side, hands submerged in cool, muddy water, planting seedlings in neat rows. The rhythm of the work is punctuated by gentle songs, passed down through generations, calling for a bountiful harvest. Come midsummer, the village holds the Obon Festival, a time to honor the spirits of ancestors. Lanterns are lit and floated down the river, their warm glow reflecting softly on the water's surface. Families gather to share simple meals, tell stories of those who came before, and offer silent thanks. The atmosphere is both reverent and comforting, a reminder that the past lives gently alongside the present. Autumn brings the Niname-sai, the harvest festival, a time of gratitude and quiet celebration. Bundles of freshly cut rice are carried in procession to the shrine, offerings laid carefully upon the altar. The scent of roasted chestnuts and steaming rice cakes fills the air. Villagers share meals, exchange blessings, and sing songs that speak of the earth's generosity and human toil. Throughout the year, smaller rituals mark the cycles of life. Prayers for rain during dry spells, ceremonies to protect crops from pests, blessings for newborn children. Each ritual, though modest, carries layers of meaning and connection. They remind villagers that life is intertwined with forces both seen and unseen. Participation in these festivals offers moments of rest from daily labor, spaces where worries soften and hearts open. The gentle cadence of chanting voices, the soft flicker of candlelight, the shared smiles of neighbors, all weave a fabric of community and continuity. As night deepens, the village quiets once more, carrying the warmth of these celebrations into the stillness, and you feel the gentle pulse of life here, a rhythm of work, prayer, and shared humanity. As you wander through the village on a quiet afternoon, the steady hum of daily life unfolds gently around you. Near the center, tucked between humble homes and rice paddies, lie small workshops, places where artisans practice their crafts with quiet dedication and patient hands. Imagine stepping softly into the space of a potter's workshop. The air here carries the faint scent of wet clay mixed with the warm earthiness of wood smoke from a nearby kiln. The potter sits cross-legged beside a spinning wheel, their fingers coated with damp, cool clay, shaping simple bowls and cups. Each piece is molded slowly, deliberately, with a careful touch that speaks of years of practice. The rhythmic turning of the wheel blends with the soft scrape of tools and the gentle pat of hands molding the clay. You watch as the potter smooths the surface, the wet clay yielding to their touch like soft mud beneath a gentle stream. These vessels will serve many purposes: holding tea, storing grains, carrying water. Though humble, their shapes carry the quiet elegance of function, shaped by necessity but touched by the artisan's care. Nearby, the weaver's loom creaks softly. Threads of indigo and brown are stretched taut across wooden frames, and fingers move methodically, interlacing fibers into fabric. The coarse cloth is designed to withstand the wear of daily use. A modest garment, but one crafted with skill and patience. You feel the texture of the cloth as it drapes from the loom, rough yet pliant, dyed with natural pigments from plants and minerals. The weaver's slow, rhythmic movements echo the calm pulse of village life. Other artisans shape wood into tools, carve simple ornaments, or mend worn clothing. Their workshops hum with quiet industry, the sounds blending softly with the natural world outside, the rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, the gentle breeze. Craftsmanship here is never hurried. It is a slow, deliberate act, born from the understanding that every object must serve its purpose well and endure. Each artisan learns their trade from parents and elders, skills passed down through hands and eyes rather than written words. In this way, the village preserves knowledge across generations, a shared heritage woven into the very fabric of daily life. These crafts may seem small or mundane, but they are the backbone of the community's survival. They shape the tools you use, the clothes you wear, and the objects that fill your home. As evening falls and the workshops close, you carry with you a sense of quiet reverence for the patience and skill that sustain your village. And with the fading light, the village's steady rhythm continues. Work, rest, craft, and care, all moving gently together through time. Imagine the soft light of early morning spilling through the paper screens of a modest home. Inside, a woman begins her day quietly, but with purpose. Her movements are practiced and steady, preparing meals, tending to children, and readying the household for the demands ahead. In the village, women hold many roles, often unseen, but absolutely vital. Their days are filled with tasks both physical and emotional, weaving together the fabric of family and community life. From dawn, women gather water from the well, balancing heavy buckets carefully as they walk the familiar path. The water is cool and fresh, its gentle splash a soothing sound amid the morning stillness. They prepare food with simple, nourishing ingredients: rice, seasonal vegetables, and occasionally fish or pickled items. The simmering of pots, the chopping of vegetables, and the rhythmic kneading of dough create a quiet soundtrack to the household. Women also tend to small gardens, cultivating herbs and vegetables that supplement the family's diet. Their knowledge of plants and seasons is deep and practical, a wisdom born from necessity and passed down through generations. Beyond the home, women contribute to the village economy through crafts such as weaving cloth, sewing garments, and making household items. Their hands move skillfully, transforming raw materials into objects both useful and beautiful. Childcare is a central and constant responsibility. Mothers and grandmothers guide children through the rhythms of daily life, teaching them how to work, how to respect others, and how to honor the traditions of the village. Their voices are soft but firm, filled with stories and lessons meant to nurture both body and spirit. In times of hardship, harsh winters, poor harvests, illness, women often become the pillars of strength and care. They tend to the sick, manage scarce resources, and provide comfort in ways that soothe both pain and worry. Social bonds among women form a quiet but resilient network. Through shared work and mutual support, they sustain each other and the broader community. While the village's social structure often places men in public roles of authority, women's influence is profound within the household and community. Their daily efforts, though often unspoken and unrecorded, are the quiet foundation on which village life rests. As you reflect on this, imagine the soft murmur of women's voices at dusk, sharing news, exchanging advice, or simply enjoying a moment of rest together. Their presence is a gentle, enduring current beneath the surface of village life. And as night falls, their work done for the day, the peace of the home and village carries softly into sleep. Picture a quiet corner of the village where the simple structure of the village school stands. A modest wooden building with paper windows, its walls worn smooth by years of gentle use. Inside, the soft rustle of sliding doors and the faint scent of ink and paper mingle with the fresh air that drifts through open windows. The village school is not a grand institution. It is a humble place where children gather, not just to learn reading and writing, but to absorb the traditions and values that will guide their lives. Imagine yourself stepping into the room where the teacher sits, cross-legged on a woven mat. Their voice is calm and measured, speaking softly as they guide the children through their lessons. The day begins with quiet repetition, chanting simple characters, practicing strokes with brushes dipped in black ink, tracing symbols that will open the door to knowledge and communication. Lessons are slow and patient. The children's small hands mimic the teacher's movements, the brush gliding across rice paper with care and concentration. Education here is not rushed. It is woven into daily life, accompanied by the gentle sounds of nature outside. Birdsong, the rustle of leaves, the distant murmur of a stream. Beyond the basics of reading and writing, the school teaches respect for elders, the importance of harmony, and the value of patience and perseverance. Stories from history and folklore are shared, not as thrilling adventures, but as quiet lessons, tales that echo the village's values and roots. Discipline is gentle, but firm. Children learn to listen attentively, to sit still, and to honor the space and people around them. Outside the classroom, education continues in the fields and homes. Parents and elders teach children the skills of farming, weaving, cooking, and caring for animals. Learning is a lifelong process, a steady unfolding of knowledge passed through experience and observation. The school is a place of beginnings, a foundation upon which the children build their futures. As the day winds down, the children leave the school quietly, stepping back into the rhythms of village life. Their minds a little fuller, their steps a little steadier. And as the village settles into evening calm, the soft echoes of their lessons drift gently on the breeze, a promise of growth and continuity. Imagine the village waking slowly with the morning light, its quiet streets soon to be filled with soft footsteps and gentle activity. Beyond the fields and homes, the village's economy hums along quietly, a delicate balance of exchange, barter, and survival. Though the village may seem isolated, it is part of a larger network of trade routes connecting distant towns, castles, and markets. These connections bring occasional visitors, travelers, merchants, and officials whose presence adds a subtle complexity to daily life. The villagers primarily produce what they need: rice, vegetables, firewood, and handmade goods. Yet some products, such as surplus rice, woven cloth, or crafted tools, are gathered and traded beyond the village. Imagine the soft clatter of wooden carts on dirt roads, the faint smell of earth and wood smoke mingling with the scent of fresh produce and herbs. Merchants come with their goods: salt, sake, ceramics, and metal tools, bringing items that the village cannot produce on its own. Trade is not a bustling, noisy affair, but a careful and measured exchange. Bartering requires trust and negotiation, and goods often pass hands quietly, with respectful bows and careful words. The village headman oversees much of this activity, ensuring that agreements are honored and that taxes owed to the samurai lord are collected and delivered. These taxes are typically paid in rice or labor, a reminder of the village's obligations within the larger social order. Within the village, informal trade thrives as well. Neighbors exchange eggs for cloth, firewood for vegetables, or labor for shared meals. This quiet economy builds social bonds, weaving individuals into a community of mutual dependence and support. Craftspeople rely on this system, exchanging their handmade goods for food and materials, sustaining both themselves and the wider village. The rhythm of economic life is steady and predictable, mirroring the cycles of planting and harvest. It requires patience, fairness, and a deep understanding of the village's needs and resources. Though modest, this system is the lifeblood of the community, ensuring survival through through cooperation rather than competition. As the day closes, the village settles once more into calm. The distant sounds of merchants packing up, the flicker of lanterns in homes, and the soft murmur of evening conversations carry the quiet assurance of continuity. And you rest with the knowledge that life here, though humble, is sustained by careful hands and shared trust. Imagine the serene rhythm of village life suddenly interrupted, not by conflict, but by forces of nature beyond human control. The earth, the sky, and the sea remind you of their power in subtle and sometimes devastating ways. Natural disasters have shaped the lives of villagers for generations. Typhoons sweep in from distant seas, their heavy rains turning fields into rivers and bending trees like blades of grass. Earthquakes shake the ground beneath your feet, unsettling the very foundations of homes and hearts alike. Droughts creep in quietly, drying wells and wilting crops, threatening the delicate balance of survival. When a typhoon approaches, villagers watch the sky carefully, the thickening clouds, the rising winds that whistle through bamboo groves. Preparations are made with quiet urgency. Homes are secured, fields checked for loose tools or debris, animals sheltered. Yet, no matter how cautious, the storm's arrival is always a test of endurance. After the rains and winds pass, the fields may be flooded beyond use, rice seedlings washed away or drowned. The earth feels heavy and reluctant to give its bounty. Damage to homes and tools compounds the struggle, forcing families to rebuild slowly amid scarcity. Earthquakes come without warning. The ground trembles, doors rattle, and the world feels momentarily unsteady. Though buildings are simple, their construction allows some resilience, yet cracks appear in walls, thatch may loosen, and paths become uneven. In the days that follow, villagers work together to repair what they can, replanting damaged fields, rebuilding fences, and supporting those who have lost more. Droughts, less dramatic but no less threatening, test patience over long months. Wells run low. The soil hardens and cracks beneath the relentless sun. Every drop of water becomes precious. Crops grow slowly or fail altogether. The air itself feels dry and still, the usual hum of insects quieted. Throughout these challenges, the village relies on shared strength and quiet resilience. Neighbors exchange food and water. Communal labor rebuilds damaged homes. Prayers and rituals are held at shrines to seek protection and favor from unseen forces. Though nature's power can be harsh and unforgiving, it also deepens the villagers' respect for the land and seasons. The memory of disasters past guides careful planting and preparedness, a slow learning etched into collective memory. As night falls, the village may be bruised, but unbroken. The gentle flicker of lanterns against the darkness is a testament to survival, to hope, and to the enduring spirit that quiets fears and comforts weary hearts. As the night deepens and the village settles into peaceful quiet, take a moment to reflect on the long rhythm of life here, the steady flow of days, seasons, and years. Imagine yourself walking slowly through familiar paths, the soft earth beneath your feet yielding gently with each step. The scent of moss and damp leaves rises faintly from the ground, mingling with the cool night air. You think of the village as a living tapestry, woven from countless small acts of labor, kindness, endurance, and hope. Over time, life here has changed, slowly and often imperceptibly. New tools and ideas arrive from distant places, carried by travelers and merchants. The rhythms of farming evolve with each generation, influenced by experience and necessity. Yet despite change, many things remain constant. The connection to the land, the importance of community, the quiet dignity of daily work. You reflect on how these small, sometimes overlooked details create a world rich in meaning and belonging. The village is a place where stories are lived rather than written, where time moves at the pace of the earth and sky. Though hardship touches all lives here, so too does resilience. Each generation inherits not only challenges, but also knowledge and strength. You imagine the faces of those who came before, their hands that shaped the fields, their voices that filled the evenings with song and story. Their legacy is present in the rice paddies, the wooden homes, and the enduring traditions. As you walk, a gentle breeze stirs the leaves overhead, a soft reminder of the ever-turning cycle of life. You feel a deep sense of peace in this enduring continuity, a quiet comfort in the knowledge that life, in all its slow unfolding, carries on. And as your thoughts begin to drift like falling leaves, the village rests beside you, wrapped in the calm embrace of night. Here, in this gentle stillness, you are invited to let go, to release the day's worries, and to welcome the soothing promise of sleep. As the seasons flow gently onward, imagine stepping into the humble space where healing takes place. A small room filled with the calming scent of dried herbs and the quiet rustle of paper scrolls. The village healer is a figure of quiet wisdom, their hands skilled in the ancient arts passed down through generations. They prepare remedies from roots, leaves, and barks gathered in the surrounding forests, each tincture made with patience and care. The healer's day begins with gentle rituals, boiling herbs over soft flames, grinding powders with smooth stones, and mixing potions in simple ceramic bowls. The air fills with the earthy aroma of ginseng, ginger, and mugwort. When a villager falls ill, the healer listens attentively, observing symptoms with a calm gaze and asking gentle questions. Treatments combine herbal medicine, massages, and spiritual practices, incantations softly spoken to invite the body's natural balance. Illness is not seen as a punishment, but a disruption to harmony, and healing is a slow, patient process. The healer teaches families how to care for the sick, offering remedies and advice that blend nature's gifts with quiet human compassion. In times of epidemic or injury, the healer becomes a pillar of strength. Working steadily, their presence a calming balm to fear and pain. The healing arts embody the village's intimate connection with nature and the understanding that health flows from balance of body, spirit, and environment. Feel the slow turning of the year as you journey through the changing seasons in the village. The soft unfolding of spring, the warm embrace of summer, the golden hush of autumn, and the quiet stillness of winter. In spring, the earth awakens beneath your feet. Buds swell on trees, and the air carries the scent of fresh rain and new growth. Villagers prepare fields for planting, their movements deliberate and hopeful. The days lengthen gently, inviting work and renewal. Summer arrives with warmth and intensity. The sun climbs high, its rays rippling across the rice paddies, which shimmer with life. The sounds of cicadas fill the air, and the village pulses with activity, tending crops, repairing tools, and sharing cool drinks beneath shade. Autumn brings a slower pace, the fields heavy with ripened grain ready for harvest. The air cools, carrying the faint scent of dried leaves and wood smoke. Villagers gather crops with care, their hands moving in steady rhythm, aware that these days are precious. Winter wraps the village in quiet and rest. Frost edges the thatched roofs, and breath rises in soft clouds. Work slows, and families gather indoors, tending fires and mending clothes. The stillness invites reflection, stories, and gentle preparation for the cycle to begin anew. Each season shapes the village's rhythm and mood, offering challenges and gifts, weaving a tapestry of life marked by patience, adaptation, and quiet endurance. As dusk settles softly over the village, imagine the gradual quieting of the day. The gentle closing of windows, the lowering of voices, the flickering glow of lanterns casting warm pools of light. Families gather in their homes, sharing simple meals and soft conversations. The scent of simmering broth and steamed rice fills the air, mingling with the faint aroma of burning incense. Outside, the world grows hushed. Crickets begin their steady chorus, and the occasional owl calls from the distant trees. A cool breeze stirs leaves and carries the scent of earth and night blossoms. The village paths lie empty, but not silent, alive with the subtle sounds of night, the rustle of small animals, the distant flowing of water, the soft tapping of a night insect's wings. Inside, the slow breathing of those resting fills the quiet rooms. Thoughts turn inward, and the mind begins to loosen its hold on the day's concerns. These moments, between wakefulness and sleep, between day and night, are a gentle lullaby, a sacred pause in the rhythm of life. They remind you of the enduring calm beneath the surface of effort and hardship, a quiet strength that nurtures both body and spirit. And as darkness deepens, the village rests, wrapped in the soft embrace of night's peaceful shadow. As our journey through the quiet rhythms of village life comes to a close, imagine yourself once more walking slowly along the familiar paths beneath a starlit sky. The cool night air is soft against your skin, carrying the faint scent of earth and distant blossoms. We have wandered together through fields, homes, festivals, and quiet moments, each step revealing the delicate balance of struggle and resilience that shaped this world long ago. Though their lives were often filled with hardship, the villagers found comfort in community, in the cycles of nature, and in simple acts of care and tradition. Their stories, gentle and enduring, remind us of the strength found in patience, humility, and connection. As you settle deeper into your own quiet space, let the steady rhythms of their days soothe your mind. Allow the calm unfolding of history's slow, unhurried pace to ease you gently toward rest. If you'd like, feel free to share in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is for you. A quiet way to connect across time and space. Thank you for joining this journey into the past, where even the most ordinary lives hold extraordinary lessons. May the peaceful stillness of this story carry you softly into sleep. Good night.